Hello, I'm back. Today we're going to talk about the it's continuation on from last Tuesday's video of the allegations against Onision. Now, last week I only covered the allegations that Isla brought forth. This time I'm going to go through Maya, Madison, Lane and Haylee. Okay. I am also going to give Greg's point of view on this particular side as well as Sarah's. It did take me a while to get my notes condensed because some of it was repetitive. Okay, now we'll talk about Madison first. Madison was on a podcast with the Drunken Peasants. When she says that when she started the podcast, she didn't know the topic of conversation was Onision. Now, if somebody asks me on a podcast, I'm going to ask them what is the topic of conversation before I go on it. That's common sense. Or at least it is for most people, you know what I mean? So they were talking about the forum, the Rate Me pictures with the forums and the fact that there was kids in there. And she basically dismissed it and said, if you're underage and you submit your photos, then that's your fault. No, because the kids said they don't know any better. He should have put something in place to prevent it from happening. Right. She did allege that we know things about Onision, meaning her and Billy the Fridge. That he was inappropriate with adults. She didn't reveal what exactly they knew. If it later comes out that she knows something that she's not telling anybody, she could get into trouble for that. And she actually said the words stuff of a paedophilic nature. Now, paedophile is essentially prepubescent children. If you're going to use the actual definition, it is prepubescent children. Now, I don't think that Onision is a paedophile. I think he's something called a Hebaphile, which is people that are attracted to like 15 to 19. She later backpedaled. She called Real Stream News a liar, and a harasser, and an abuser. Now, the abuse and the harassment, I will refer to my previous video on Real Stream News, where it was alleged that he raped somebody, but that has since come out as she went to the police. Police don't believe her because there's no evidence at all that he did anything wrong. Basically, even on video, she said that nothing happened, and then Mum was like, yeah, it did, and then Mum's basically talked her into it. Anyway, so she was being nasty to Real Stream News when he was just basically reporting what she'd said. She was apparently talking about a 17-year-old friend who'd been in a relationship with him prior. She did use the phrase paedophilic nature, which brings to mind a child. Like I said, the more accurate term is Hebaphile. She admits she used the wrong term, and she still finds Onision creepy. Now, Greg may have threatened her with a lawsuit or something, as if to say, if you don't shut up, I'm going to sue you, or I'm going to expose this, and this. Admits he has done morally questionable things. So she's half backpedaled, but she then blamed somebody else who was literally just reporting what she said, because he actually played the clips of what she said. Now, Maya claims that Onision kissed her without her consent. Onision thought that because Maya had kissed Kai / Lainey, that he had consent to kiss her. That's not how it works. So, if I kiss somebody, does that mean my husband automatically has consent to kiss that person? No. Just because that person has given me their consent to kiss them doesn't mean they've then given my partner their consent to kiss them because they've kissed me. what's the logic there? And that's actually out of his own mouth, believe it or not. The live stream will be in the playlist above, so just to let you know. That she also claimed that he lifted and carried her twice, once without consent and once with consent, and after the second instance where he did it, because she felt so uncomfortable, she wanted to leave. Which is valid. If she feels uncomfortable in a situation, then she shouldn't stay in that situation. Because it's not fair on her to have to stay in that situation if she doesn't feel comfortable. Now we've got Haylee's accusations. Story happened in 2006 when she was about 21. She was a fan of Lainey. She was starstruck when Lainey started speaking to her. She talked to Lainey / Kai and had feelings for them. Greg asked Haylee to join their poly relationship. She said no. Greg tried to manipulate her into agreeing, which I'll get into in a sec. She did ignore warning signs. For example, he asked about her financial situation to see whether or not it was feasible for him to use money as an incentive to join the relationship, where he would say, if you join in the relationship, we can provide this for you, and so on, which I think is a bit dodgy. The manipulation that happened in trying to get her to join the relationship was Haylee said no, and Greg said, is Lainey not worth being in a relationship with him too? She said no again. Greg said, if Lainey was worth it, you'd do it. She said no. Tried to use her words against us, saying that she had these feelings for Lainey and that she wanted to be with Lainey, but she didn't want to be with him. She said no. Offers friendship and a collab and a visit. She said no, and it literally continued for months, where he would say, oh, why don't you just come for a weekend or a visit and we'll go from there? And she's like, I've said no. She said, there's no point me coming because it's not going to change, because I don't want to be in a relationship with two people. I want to be just me and somebody else. And then he started with this, oh, you want to warn them? And it's like, what? Just because you're in a monogamous relationship with somebody doesn't mean you own them or you want to own them. I don't own my husband. He doesn't own me. She did say that Greg was a predator. If she was a weaker person, she would have given in to his pushing with regards to a relationship. So she can understand how people get pushed into a relationship by him and his activities and his actions. She does claim that Kai has walked around topless in front of Sarah. She says Greg is scary, we all know that. She's telling her story to support Isla, Lane, Maya, and that's it, I think. Right, so now we're going to Lane. She says that she talked more to Sarah as opposed to Lainey, but Lainey used her to find out what Billy was talking about when Billy blocked them, when the whole relationship fell apart. She says everyone that's involved with Lainey is shady as fuck. Sarah had told Lane that she thought she'd be a part of the throuple, as one of the colloquial terms is. That Lane and Lainey and Greg have been talking since she was about 14, 15, meaning Lane. It's a bit confused because there's Lainey and Lane, so. They met through a friend of Lainey, so Lane was talking to this other person, and this other person said to Lainey, oh, I don't want to, be involved in this, whatever, but talk to this person, they might be more they might be more susceptible to a potential relationship. She does agree that there was manipulation. She is worried about Sarah, and she is willing to help with the police, etc., because she has texts and stuff from Sarah. Obviously, she didn't go into them or anything, because at the end of the day, we don't know what Sarah's going through at the minute, which I'll get to, don't worry. Now, Greg, I had to sit through another live stream for all this, and Repsion and Joy were in the live stream, and they were prodding and poking him. It was funny. So he kept stalling, which is normal. Says he didn't force himself onto Maya, which, and I'm going to say this again, I said this not that long ago. Just because Maya kissed Lainey does not mean that Maya has given consent for you to kiss her. I thought that was common sense for somebody his age. Said Sarah wanted to be in a relationship with Kai, that it never happened, and doesn't say it never will, because he actually says, I'm not talking about a future relationship, I'm talking about as it stands at the moment. Stated Sarah has asked Isla to stop talking about her, and that's publicly, but we nor Greg know what Sarah has said to Isla in private through DMs and text messages. We just don't know. Accused Isla of propositioning Sarah, and I'll cover this in the last video, and I'll cover it again here. When Isla was at Greg's house and Sarah was there, Isla was 19. I think Sarah was 16. That's a 3-year age gap. So it's going back 2 years, so Greg would have been 31, so that would have been a 15-year age gap. Which, and not only that, is, you just don't do that to somebody you have a parental relationship with. And like I said, 3-year age gap is not a big of a deal as a 10 plus year age gap, as with Greg, and with Kai I think it's something like 8. So it's like, Greg also claimed that Isla wanted something romantic with Greg and Lainey. Now, I don't believe that. I think that's just Greg doing wishful thinking. I think that he thinks that she wanted a romantic relationship when she didn't, and that he thinks that he's irresistible to people when he isn't. Said he had to end the friendship with Isla and Billy, but that's a complete contradiction with everything that's happened then and since, where we know Greg's constantly trying to get back with Billy. So, and Billy and Isla are best friends, so wherever Billy goes, Isla goes, so it's like, he also says he's had to end other friendships, but other people completely contradict that. Now, Sarah, she put a statement out on Greg's channel. Now, I'm going to get into that in a sec, but she stated no one had guardianship of her except her parents, other than, and that a friend, meaning Kai / Lainey, had medical power of attorney for 6 months. Now, in multiple live streams, multiple posts, in multiple videos, they have said, meaning Kai, that they had legal guardianship over Sarah. So if it was a legal guardianship, which is what has been used up until now, it's only now that they're saying that it wasn't legal guardianship. It's illegal. Even now Sarah's 18, it's still illegal because Kai was her guardian. Obviously, we don't know what the truth is without the relevant paperwork. We just don't know. But I seriously don't think that you allow somebody to move into your house just because you have a medical power of attorney for them. It would have to be guardianship, and especially if the parents are involved. Now, I'm going to go into my opinion. Yes, I do give you my opinion. I give you what's been said, and then I tell you my opinion. All this goes back to Sarah. Now, did she lie to Isla, Madison, Haylee, Maya and Lane and say this is what's happening? They've always said that there's a potential relationship. They've always said this. They've always said that. Greg does this. Greg does that. Greg does this. Or is she lying to them, saying they've done these things and they haven't? Or is she now lying to protect Onision and laying it because Greg is a price manipulator? No, as I think they financially help her, so they'll have said, well, you either back us up or you lose your college tuition or whatever. Which I can see happening. I think Greg is a Hebaphile, which is like 15 to 19. And he says that he generally doesn't go for people that are underage, but there have been several instances that have contradicted that. We have Shiloh, she wasn't 18. We have Lainey, they weren't 18. Then we have the fact that they were talking to Billy before she turned 18. So that's 3 people at least. 3 people at least that were underage when they first got into contact with Onision and Lenny. And if you want to add Sarah, that's 4. That's 4. Because they were talking from her being 14. She moved in at 16. He's creepy as fuck. We all know that. We all know he's creepy as fuck. Everybody on YouTube knows Greg is creepy as fuck. He is one of the most irksome, sickening, manipulative pieces of shit on the platform. And if he wants to question me on that, then fine, bring it. He needs to stop pulling others into his marriages, especially people of a younger age. Now, I know Kai isn't that old, but if you're saying that your relationship needs a third person, that is basically saying your partner is not everything to you that they should be. Now, my relationship with my husband is excellent, and we don't need a third person in our relationship to make it complete. We're happy just the 2 of us. That's normal. I'm not saying poly relationships don't work, because they do, but you have to be extremely careful, and you have to be very mature about things, and the people that they are choosing are very immature, because they are very young. So you have to think about that going forward. Do we think that Greg knows all this? Of course he knows all this. Does Greg know that he's choosing immature people? Yeah. Does he care? No. He needs to be careful when what he posts and who he contacts. This is pretty obvious. The fact that they are in contact with so many young people constantly, and the fact that they are in constant hunt for younger people to pull into their relationship is just, to me it's wrong. But if you're in a 3-way couple, people that are newly 18 are not the best way to go. Yes, they might be physically appealing to you. Yes, they're young, they're virile, and they're still filled with hormones. but they don't have the they potentially don't have the emotional capacity to be in a relationship with two people at the same time. He also needs to look at it from the outside. The fact that he's pulling these 18, 19, 20-year-olds into his marriage looks creepy as fuck. And then they move in a 16-year-old. When we know that Shiloh was, 16, 17 when he got together with her? And that we know that he was with Kai when Kai was 17. We know this history. We know this. And the plain simple fact is, he's expecting us to forget about that history and treat Sarah as a standalone issue, when it's not. He has a reputation with relationships with people underage, and he also has a reputation with people that are newly of age. And you are trying to make it out that everybody else is overreacting. It's a case of no, everybody else isn't overreacting. Everybody else is reacting to what you've done in the past. And we don't know what goes on behind closed doors in that house. We just don't. Greg needs to back up, grow up, and revel in your marriage, as he claims that Kite Laney is wonderful and perfect and beautiful and all this. So why don't you don't jump into your marriage with her, with them. Why don't you revel in that marriage, in that relationship, work on the trust issues that they have with you, and work on raising the children, figuring out your finances, etc. Work on that, as opposed to working on bringing other people into the relationship, bringing other people into the house. Because you're not as well off as you claim you are, Greg. So, you know, you don't have the money to be spending on flights to get people over and keep them there and financial incentives. You just don't. I'm sorry, but you don't. You need to leave these women alone. And I'm referring to Isla, Billy, Madison, Maya, Lane and Haylee. Leave them alone. They're allowed to say their truth. End of. They're allowed to say what they want. End of. At the end of the day, again, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but I can guarantee you now that the relationship between Greg and Kai isn't as happy as to try and make it out to be. I'm sorry, but it isn't. Now, with regards to Sarah, I am worried. If Sarah is telling the truth through Isla, then she needs to get away from the entire situations. But as I've said before, he will likely manipulate her both emotionally and financially into doing what he says, which is what I think has already happened. If he's telling the truth, his track record proves he is a horror. Even if he is telling the truth, that nothing's happened, that there was nothing on the cards to happen, that it's just a fantasy in Sarah's head, then he needs to realise why everybody is believing that these stories are true, because we've seen these things happening in the past. He's a horrid person. He needs to stay out of the drama for a while, but the thing is with Greg is he revels in drama. He loves the drama. He just had a thought. No, he won't have done that. No, he can't have done that. Just had a thought. We know how Greg likes to create drama. He does it with Shane. He does it with Eugenia, Richie, Jacqueline, Blair, and so many others. What about if he's told Sarah to tell Isla these things? For Isla to then make a video about it, for then him to be involved in more drama. No, I can't see him doing that. But his track record and his history proves that this is possible. We know that this is possible. We know that this is likely to happen with him, because we've seen it in the past. I am concerned. I am worried. Sarah, please talk to someone. If you are at university, speak to a counsellor and actually tell them the truth. Not what Greg wants you to say, not what Isla wants you to say, but what you want to say, what you know to be true. It's only then that people can potentially help you, because I don't think we know the full truth. I do think that there's a lot more going on that we don't know, and that's exactly the way that Greg wants it. She just needs to get away, but of course he's going to financially hold it over her head until she's 22 and she finishes college, or even longer. We don't know if he's giving her money to have her own place, etc. We just don't know that. If she's still living in the house, we just don't know. Greg, give up, get a job, take care of your family, period. This whole, I can't get a job, I can't do this, I can't do that, I want to be able to take care of my family. And it's like, yeah, but the views you're getting on your channels, and the fact that you are at risk of losing every single one of your channels any given chance, every given time you upload, I think coming off the internet, even if it's just for a few months, and reassessing what you want to do with the channels, because your content is stale. The reason why Shane is still popular is because he reinvents himself. That's how it works on YouTube. You have to constantly reinvent yourself. So, but yeah, and I've also got, I can actually show you the notebook now. In here I have the notebook with relate to all his previous relationships. So I have 1, 2, 3. I'm up to 5 at the minute. I'm up to Shyla. So I'll try and start getting this sorted at some point. That'll be a multi-part series anyway. Anyway, I'm gonna bugger off, but at the end, best thing to take away from this is we just need to watch Greg like a hawk. Be all and end all. He's not nice, he's unstable, he's a manipulative bastard, and we need to stop him, but we need to stop him the right way. Stay safe, be good, have fun, and I will see you on Wednesday. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but I'll see you then.